What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the Buy the Hood podcast or webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy, and as we start off every show, that is with gratitude. I want to say thank you to anybody and everyone who supports all of our efforts and all of our work. Shout out to the students from Buy the Hood University, the youth from the Buy the Hood Ownership Camp, as well as our members of our private group, the MDC Strategy Group. I'm joined by my partner in crime as always, Cora. Cora, what is up, good brother?
What's really good, Jim?
Hey, listen, man, I can't complain. Nobody listening.
Listen, you know every day above ground's a good day, so let's go.
I'm doing better than the Eagles right now, so you know it is
Easy, young Jeezy.
Yeah,
Eagles still got a coach right now.
Yeah, how about that? That was nasty work out there, man. Anyway, this is not a sports show, although you know we gotta take our shots when we can. Our show, for those that may be watching for the first time, is built around us talking about personal finance as well as black wealth, the things that we care about the most. Also, before we even get started, everybody do the YouTubing and stuff, like, comment, subscribe. Also, I want to say in February 23rd and 24th in Philadelphia, there's an event going on that is being sponsored by our investment club. There's a movie coming out called B1, which stands for Black First, and it's really about black economics. So that movie drops. We're going to show part of it on February 23rd and 24th. It's going to be panels. It'll be in Philadelphia. We are honoring, one of our legends, Leon Sullivan, on February 23rd and 24th, which is next month. So be on the lookout for that. I'll put the link to that in the description as well, so anybody in the area can show up. And there's also virtual tickets. There's going to be a lot of great speakers, powerful speakers from all across the country. So that'll be dope. Anyway, with that being said, today's pod, man, we're going to have a interesting conversation. We're going to talk about one of Corey's most hated companies and one of Corey's most favorite companies, just because this is an interesting story, right? So, and by the way, for anybody listening to the audio, shout out to you. We appreciate you as well. I'll make sure to put the link to this article in the show notes. It'll be in the description as well for those watching the video. And our video is available on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. So with that being said, though, Corey, here is the story. It says Apple just ceded one crown to Microsoft, but it picked up a new one. So for those who don't know, Apple was considered the largest, publicly traded U.S. company, but it just got passed by Microsoft. But interestingly enough, we have the stock price, then we have the business. One of the reasons that Microsoft passed, we all know this, is because of Microsoft's foray into artificial intelligence and how people saw them position themselves with artificial intelligence. But at the same time that Apple, and by the way, I was telling Corey before we came on, I was like, they're still both $1 trillion companies, which is in itself insane amount of value being created. But Apple now ranks first in annual smartphone shipments for the first time. Like, that's wild.
It is.
Because the thing about Apple is they're a U.S. company. And even though people know the popularity here, they have never been number one in terms of shipping units. So their popularity...
Samsung was always number one because they served the rest of the world while Apple was serving here.
So let me read this off, though. Apple may have given back title of the largest U.S. public company to Microsoft, but it's just picked up a different crown for the first time. The consumer electronics company was the largest smartphone vendor by shipments during 2023, according to new data from market research, right? Apple shipped 234.6 million devices, right? 234.6 million devices during the year, which put it ahead of Samsung, which shipped 226.6 million. Which is crazy because Samsung, for those that aren't in the tech, they sell the A54, the Galaxy series, which is multiple phones, the Fold series. Apple got like 3 or 4 units, and Samsung got like 50. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that's wild for Apple to actually do this. It says Apple has never before held a top spot, according to IDC data. In 2023 marked the first time since 2010 that a company other than Samsung has occupied the position. So what's funny is, we get into our Samsung Apple wars here in the States, but globally speaking, Samsung has kind of dominated since 2010, which is crazy. But so more from the article. Apple's ascent came during a tough year for the overall smartphone market. So shipments overall dropped 3.2%. So, but Apple posted a 3.7% year-over-year growth, becoming the only one of the top 4 phone makers to log an increase in shipments. So Apple is becoming more popular worldwide, which is it's just crazy, man. Samsung was second with the quarter, down 10.9%. But you also have Xiaomi and Transition, who are 2 Chinese manufacturers who are number 3 and number 4. But Apple is on fire in terms of like building their global brand, which is interesting, man. So a couple things to talk about here, right? So Corey has always been an Apple hater anyway. So I found this article interesting for that reason. I was like, hey, there's Microsoft passing Apple. But then as I read it, I'm like, wow, Apple is becoming more of a global brand. And when you talk to people who don't live in the US, it goes back to that brand washing. It's like it's considered a luxury item in certain cultures. So that's one of the reasons. Like if you get your hands on an iPhone and you're in a different continent or country, it's considered a luxury brand. So this is just interesting data, right? We're talking about trillion-dollar companies, and Corey, I know you've always been a huge fan of Microsoft. What do you think about this overall? Not just Microsoft becoming number 1 in the world, but Samsung, their business. I mean, excuse me, Apple's business growing even as they cede that spot.
2 very well-run companies. I just think Microsoft has a better business model. Period. I think Apple has better branding, but I think Microsoft has the better business model.
So I don't necessarily disagree with you. Here's the one thing that I'll add, right? Microsoft, right? So Microsoft has been around for a long period of time. And I remember when the Clippers owner, what's his name? Well, he was running Microsoft.
Ballmer.
Yeah. He was on a process of getting ready to run him into the ground until their new CEO took the reins and kind of positioned them in a way where now like they're forward thinking. But the one thing that Apple has that Microsoft doesn't have is Apple is a church, yo. And I don't even know how you value that. Like
you can't. There's no value you can put on people's emotions. Like emotional buying is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like and it's a thing with every single human on the planet. And you cannot quantify the emotional tug that Apple has on people as a brand. It's like people that wear Louis Vuitton. Like it just because it's a name brand, or buy a Lamborghini or a Ferrari because it's a name brand. Apple is moving into that space, and
but
so
it's crazy, right? Because we saw the data and we read it where it talked about how when they did a study, Apple fans have an attachment to that brand, which is very similar when they study the brainwaves that people have to their actual family. And they studied the same thing with Samsung, and they said Samsung users don't have that affinity for the Samsung brand, but what they do have is a hatred of Apple. so, and by the way, you can look this up. You can look up the branding of Apple and Samsung. There's a whole YouTube video on it where they go into the data and go into the studying of how people look at those brands. And the conclusion was people that like Apple products love Apple products almost like a family. People that like Samsung products don't love Samsung that way, but they just hate Apple. So they go buy Samsung because they hate Apple, right? So that's interesting. And I don't even know how you value something like that. Microsoft is great as a business that they have. I don't know people that are really like, yo, I gotta have my, whatever it may be, my Surface or my Windows. Like I don't see that. I mean, maybe it's because they don't have they dominate in like corporate. Maybe it's because they don't really have consumer. They had the Surface, which to me is a very well built machine, but they really failed in the smartphone game. So it's like, I don't know, man.
Trying though.
They failed in the tablet game, but now the AI space, right?
They definitely got ahead of the game in that.
They did, and that was the next part of this conversation I wanted to have, because I saw a couple articles now saying that Apple has been working on it, but it's going to be interesting to see how they implement AI within their business, right? So if we look at the quote unquote Magnificent Seven now, no one really goes by FANG. They go by the Magnificent Seven so they can put NVIDIA in there basically. They all have aspects of AI they've been working on. In fact, as this episode comes out on the 17th, I believe that is a Samsung Unpacked, which is the event in which they announced the Galaxy S24. I think that same day this drops. I think that happens. This happens this week, so I'm pretty sure it's the same day. And if you look at the ads for everything about the S24, it has nothing to do with the physical device. It's all about the AI software. So we had a previous episode, we talked about AI, the buzzword, but now we're seeing that it's a battleground that everybody has to like really fight in. But
It's
this is
just
all,
like it's just like when crypto was super duper hot in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2018.
Yeah, I remember Samsung put a straight crypto wallet built into their phone. Like,
Like so it's the same thing. Like it's not going away. It's not going away. Like just like crypto ain't going away, this is not going away.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I see now Microsoft dominating, but everybody like and it's funny because the same way a lot of products happen is that way the whole Chat GPT wave took over, right? Because Google has been working on AI forever.
Yep.
But they didn't make their consumer product first to market. And by them getting ahead of the curve, it kind of put them in a space where Chat GPT at this point is almost synonymous with AI, which is crazy.
Which is crazy because Bard is infinitely better.
Yeah. I mean, if you play around with it, like, so what I will say is this, because I try to use both for different things.
For me, is the plugins for Bard are better than the plugins for.
All right, I'll give you that. But here's what I will say though, because I for a while I thought Bard was better, but then they upgraded GPT and then they upgraded Bard. It's like they're almost in like an arms race, which is good for the consumer because they're clearly clapping at each other. And
Skynet is coming.
Yeah, we're getting better products because they're clapping at each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we're also getting Skynet. We're also getting Skynet, bro.
Listen,
like,
so I got a couple questions for everybody watching, man. I got a couple questions, man. Does this scare you where we're headed with AI? Is there any fear there? Are you embracing it?
So I fear that people that are disenfranchised will get further disenfranchised because as technology grows and the people that are disenfranchised from that technology don't grow with it, they just get further and further away from the top. Also, we got to get a handle on it because if we don't get a handle on it, it's going to get a handle on us. You can't keep building these damn supercomputers. Like, they don't watch enough TV, dog. Like, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing? Like, I'm not even a person that watches a lot of TV or sci-fi, but they don't watch enough, dog, because they building Skynet and they not like, you can't just keep feeding these computers this information and then expect it not to do nothing with that information, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's going to go down in a bad way at some point. And I just hope that me and my kids not around to see it go down in the bad way. That it's going down in a bad way.
I read an article that Amazon, like, they have like their engineers working on like things to catch AI from like posting things for sale on Amazon, where it's like not someone doing it. There's actual computers posting things for sale that don't exist on Amazon, and somehow they're able to tell like, yo, this isn't created by a human. This is a computer doing this. And I'm like, all right, if that's possible, that's actually scary. Even though right now they can catch it. Like, why is the computer randomly saying, yo, let me sell something on Amazon? Like, it's anyway. And I know it sounds insane. You can Google it. Like, I saw it the other day, and I'm like, all right, so where are we going with this, right? But as I mentioned on that previous episode, we talked about it. It's inevitable, right? So we can either, try to deny it and fight it, but it's here. So how do we embrace it, right?
Oh, no, yeah, I ain't fighting it. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't scare me because, I mean, I'm almost 100% sure I'm not going to live long enough to see it go terribly
to see Vicky,
bad.
like iRobot. That was the robot's name, Vicky.
Yeah, I'm almost sure that I'm not going to live long enough
to
see it terribly
to
go terribly wrong. But damn, it's going to go terribly wrong. Like,
listen, things move fast now. That's the crazy part about technology. I believe in Moore's law, right? So
yeah, no.
So therefore,
I believe 100% what you're saying. I just don't think. I think we can hold it off, stave it off. I think I got about a good 50 left.
So here's the thing. We continuously feed this thing's information, right? Because all the products and services we use, we are the actual, like, the business at this point. Every day we get up and we just give information away, right? Whether it's ordering online, whether it's going on social media. Think about the data that just like a Twitter or a Facebook has that we just give it. We tell Facebook everything we like. We tell Facebook everything we don't like. We tell it what makes us emotional one way, what makes us emotional the other way. We're giving our data away, which is then being fed into. And I'm not trying to turn this into like a horror show because it's really about these companies and the way they're moving. But the point you made is a valid point that our show is about Black wealth and personal finance. So because we talk about Black wealth and personal finance as a culture and as a people, what do we do when we see these things happening? Right?
See, a lot of people deny. A lot of people deny, and then if they, we have a portion of our culture that just won't get involved with technology at all. They just, and that's every culture, but Black culture specifically. Then you have a portion that are ignorant because we don't have the resources to get them the information. Yeah. And then you have the people who will benefit from it. So, like, I like to do the 580. I mean, I like to do the 595. You got the 5% that'll take full advantage. You got the 90% who will do absolutely nothing with it. Then you got the 5% who would just be absolutely massacred by it.
I thought you was about to go 85, 10, 5, like you know what I'm saying, like my folks, like, you know, you got to civilize an 85er.
Nah, man, I'm not. I specifically didn't do that. I specifically didn't do that because I ain't want no parts of that.
So I was talking about we gotta leave the dumb, deaf, and blind, right?
Until, no. You won't catch me out there. I almost did it, Jim. Doggy, I was there. I was like,
shout out to the nations and gods of earth, man. That's all I'm gonna say, man.
Yeah, I'm not going, but no disrespect. I was like, oh, let me not do that. So, but anyway, you got your 5% that'll take full advantage. You got the very masses who will just use it but never do anything special with it, and then you got the 5% who are absolutely going to get massacred by it. And so,
all right. So, what do we do to make sure that we can help as many folks as possible? Be prepared for what's happening. For the folks listening and everybody watching, like,
literally the action step is to use it.
Okay.
Like, you just have to use it.
Embrace it.
Yeah, like, because if you don't use it, then it's going to be people that will use it and is not even use it against you. They're just using it and you're not.
It's funny because I sit and think about like how many companies, right, that have already had like quote unquote AI within what they do, but they never marketed that way. And now they're sitting back thinking like, God damn, I was already doing this. Like, I mean, something as simple as like spell check, right?
Yeah, that's been out for the last 30 years, 25
like,
years.
That's something very simple, right? Like, I'm just saying like certain things that are definitely in the computers.
Definitely, like your phone has had AI pieces in it for the last 10 years.
But again, this goes to branding and marketing, which goes to our original topic, which was Microsoft, Apple, as well as Samsung. Like, you see the dynamics that are happening in big business, right? Microsoft becoming number one. At the same time, Apple's becoming number one in phone shipping. So interesting times as you watch what's happening with these businesses. The thing about it is, and we talk about this often in our courses, how we can look at the system, and we're not saying that the system is perfect. We know it's far from perfect. In fact, it's trash if you really ask me. But it's what we have, and all of us participate, but all of us don't participate as owners, right? This system that we have, this quote unquote capitalism, which I don't even think we have capitalism, you know.
Not in its purest form.
Shout out to my man Rakeem Sabri. I was having this conversation with him on Twitter the other day. Like, yeah, we got like, you know, federal safety nets. That's not capitalism. But anyway, we all participate as consumers, but not as producers and investors. So it's interesting to watch the dynamics of these big companies and figuring out like, where do I get in? Now, granted, you know, we're talking about small moves in the grand scheme of things. These are behemoths and whales. But at the same time, we can take advantage of it to, you know, prosper for our community and our family. So really pay attention to what's going on out there. Pay attention to how Microsoft is growing. Pay attention to Apple, because I will venture to say probably 75% of the people that are watching or listening to this probably use an iPhone, right? You use an iPhone, but do you own Apple?
Yeah. So, like I said, we poll the kids every year, so we knew this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yep.
we already knew this was coming because
Yep.
we polled our kids every year for the last 8 years, and literally, like it started off with 100%. It's down now. We
Yeah.
last year was the first year where it was actually like 75-25. It wasn't even. It still
Yeah.
was 75-25, but it was
It's
just
two companies. So for those who don't know what we're talking about, we do our camp every year with the youth. This year will be our 10th year, but one of the things we do, we start talking about brands and we poll them about which brands they will prefer. There are two brands that have always been dominant, literally for 9 years straight: Apple and Nike, right? So Samsung has always been in number two, and like Adidas, and I think a couple of times Under Armour has been number two, but Nike and Apple have dominated in terms of where the youth
used
sees the
branding.
brands. Yeah, and we have kids as little as 5 and as old as 20, 21, something like that. But it's the same brands. Apple and Nike dominate, and we go over everything from fast food brands to movies to artists, all this kind of stuff. But those two specific brands. So I think we'll add a new one to the mix this year, Corey. Let's add a couple Chat GPT and Bards and all those in.
Yep.
And then we can follow it over time.
Start polling because we got that information.
Yeah,
that's the thing. We have the information. Everybody talk, but we got actual science like we do.
So we could do that and then start to follow that year after year to see where those brands fit. The youth, man. Listen,
they told us that the TV.
I believe the children are our future.
Our youth told us that TV was going dead 7 years ago.
Yeah, that was another one of the interesting data points. We start talking about TV shows, and they don't know.
And they was like, TV? What the hell?
They don't know none of the actors on TV, but they know who Kai Cenat is. They know all the different streamers. Like that messed me up when I was asking.
They told us about Twitch. They told us about all of the shows on YouTube. They told we knew about all this stuff.
We were asking them about their favorite shows, and all their shows come from YouTube or Twitch. We were like, hold up, there's no TV shows, and it was like, we don't watch TV.
Yeah, TV.
Yeah, this is years ago. We saw where everything was headed. So shout out to the youth, man. Shout out to all the youth from the By the Hood Ownership Camp. If you want information about the camp, bythehoodcamp.com. We have a ball there. But with that being said, though, man, the questions I want to leave everybody with is, what do you think about the shift from Apple to Microsoft being the top company in the world? It doesn't matter at all. But also the shift in Apple becoming more popular globally to the point where they actually are shipping more than Samsung now. That's interesting too. And the bigger part of this conversation is, are you afraid of AI, or are you embracing AI? Like, are you an 85er? Are you a 5%er? Like, where you fall? Where do you fall on the spectrum? Like, where do you fall on the spectrum in terms of AI? Are you embracing it? Are you afraid of it, or do you just not care? You're just going to stay dumb, deaf, and blind, right? So those are the questions that I want to get you guys to answer. Leave us feedback. Leave us some comments. We appreciate the support. Make sure if you're not subscribed to the channel that you are subscribed. Our goal in 2024 is to hit 10K in terms of subscribers on our YouTube channel. That is our goal. We've already done that on Facebook, by the way. Facebook page is popping. We got like 13, 14K, but we're trying to do that on YouTube now. So please support. Follow us on all social media. We appreciate you guys, man. Corey, you got any last words, bro?
Yeah, just same as the ones in 2023. Be nice enough to each other, not to do harm to each other, man. Just stay away from each other if you can't not do harm to each other. Stay away from each other.
Absolutely, man.
Just I want to see everybody get to whatever they're trying to get to without the interference of other humans. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's impossible, but like, for us as a community to grow, you know what I mean? Like, we got to stop stepping on each other to get to where we got to go and start, using each other to, lifting each other.
Yeah.
I mean, to stop stepping on each other to trying to get where we're trying to go. You know what I mean? So I'm going to try to refrain from calling some of y'all trash. So just as
your resolution to stop calling people trash.
Yeah, as a point of resolution, I'm trying not to, because some of y'all are trash human beings. And so I'm gonna do my best.
Just violated right there as you talk about. I'm trying not to violate, but let me violate y'all one last time.
Yeah, just one time before I really actually quit. Yeah, I mean, but so, I mean, listen, we're not. We generally don't talk bad about people, but y'all be doing the absolute most, and y'all make it so hard. So
Yeah,
stop doing that.
yeah. This is why I know, man. Like, not to get in my conspiracy bag, but you can't tell me that there's not like the CIA don't run some of these sites, dog. Because some of the stuff I see online is like, yo, this is COINTELPRO. Like, it's got to be because
It
y'all be out
gotta
here
be,
because
man.
people be doing the absolute
Operation
most.
Mongoose, like it's
Yeah.
wild out here. Like, look up Operation Mongoose, by the way.
I'm gonna look that up once I get off here, man. But the timeline be going wild, man. I gotta look up. Yo, that's more homework. Look up Operation Mongo. Let's see what Corey's talking about because I don't know off the top of my head what that is, but I'm gonna look it up. With that being said, it's not about how much money you make; it's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we'll see you guys in our next episode. Peace.